Okay, so today we're going to build a horseshoe pit out of a bunch of scrap lumber we've got laying around in the yard so that we can basically play horseshoes. So what we're doing right now, we've got Dave cutting up lumber. We're making 4 36-inch boards, 4 48-inch boards, out of which we're going to make the boxes for the actual horseshoe pit. Okay, so we've got the lumber cut. Now what we're going to do is nail it together. Is aligning the corners completely tight so that everything comes out square. And you'll notice that it's an inside and outside configuration. This will be a stronger box. Now we're using a nail gun, but you could just as easily do this with by nailing it by hand or using a pile of screws. Using 2x4s, always use 2 fasteners at each joint. If you're using 2x6s, use 3 fasteners, and so on. If you do use a nail gun, I'm going to assume that you know how not to nail yourself to your work. But I thought I did, and I blew a nail through my hand once, so I guess it can happen to anybody. So what we have here is one frame for one side of the horseshoe pit. You're at 36 by 48 dimensions. Dave's going to set the nails, make sure everything's snug and tight, and then we'll show you the rest of the project. Okay, in this case, because we're going to actually be raising the ground up to the top of the box instead of the other way around, what we've done is set the box and then set the pin in exactly the center. The box is 36 by 48. The pin has to extend 15 inches above the sand level when it's finished. So what we used was basically the top of the box to determine how high to set the pin. So in the end, this box will be filled in around so that the ground around it comes up to the top of the box. Normally you would dig it into the ground and then bury it back in, but because we're in the open desert and we're basically creating a runoff situation around here anyway, it's much easier to just set the box on the top. Okay, so what you see here is one finished box filled with sand with stakes sticking out of it, set up so that it's straight, square, and equidistant from the house, with the other one down there. Anyway, what we're going to do next is backfill around these boxes. Well, make sure you orient your throw so that you're going north and south as opposed to east and west, so that you're never throwing into the sun where you can't see what you're doing. That's particularly pertinent here in the desert, where, guess what? The sun is a sumbitch. Anyway, we'll show you the backfilled results here in just a few minutes, but wanted to show you, you line these pits up so they're straight. You want 40 feet between the pins. So you can see we're backfilling it and tamping it with a hand tamper so that we end up flush to the top of the box. This way, water, like rain, will just flow off away from the box instead of into the box. And it should be a nice, very playable horseshoe pit. Okay, so that's how to build a horseshoe pit. Brought to you by the Fix-It teacher. Just a little, I don't know, I guess we've been at this about 2 hours. All the dirt we just pulled from other places where we needed to remove dirt because we're out here in the desert. We needed water to run away from the backyard, so we pulled the sand out of the washes to keep the washes flowing good, dug the dirt to make the wash banks nice and square, so that basically you have 5 projects all being done in one. And that's what it is to be a handyman. You just do multiple projects all at the same time, and it's kind of funny because they all look like they're not done until they're all done at once.